Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the Zelda Hart Show on Purpose and Prosperity TV. I'm your host, Zelda Hart, and I am about to introduce a guest on the show. But before we do, I just want to tell you a little bit more about what the show is about. I'm a financial strategist and coach and teaching Kingdom Finance. I'm a master coach evangelist for marketplace ministry. And the purpose of the show is to help people step up into their purpose and live their best life. In the show, we bring you wisdom, strategies, and help and tips on how you do relationships, and how you do money. And as I promised, we'll be bringing you guests from around the globe. And tonight, we're very privileged to do a double take on Zelda. I have with me in the studio Zelda Niren Hudson-Bella from the USA. Now, she's going to be talking to us tonight on her story of her journey in ministry, her journey as an entrepreneur. She was originally born in South Africa, launched her first CD at the age of 17, but I'm not going to take her thunder away. I'm going to expect her to be telling you, but she's a musician, a kingdom entrepreneur, songwriter, a praise and worship leader. So right now we're going to be just going right in and streaming with Zelda. Welcome to the show, Zelda. How are you?
I am good. How are you, Zelda?
I'm fantastic. So great to have you on the show tonight. I got you up really bright and early, so you had to get up at an earlier time than usual, I suppose. So thank you for making yourself available to us tonight. So I'm very excited to be welcoming you to just step right into your story. So I guess the beginning would be to start off, with all of what you're doing and have done for the past 32 years. I'm sure that your success hasn't come without struggles. So what has gotten you to your success story? Did that come easy for you, Zelda? How about you talking to our guests about that?
Yeah, parts of it comes easy, like your gift comes easy. How God releases you into community and people around you to help your gift grow. That part's easy. But the growing part is hard. And learning the lessons to mature, those are hard. Building something from scratch, that's hard. But if you stick with it, you get somewhere.
Yeah, excellent. Now, we've entitled our show in honor of you and the ministry you're leading, called Best Life Today. I want to take you back a little bit, Zelda, and I think it's very fitting for me to ask you a little bit about your journey with the Lord and your salvation story, because as a kingdom entrepreneur, so many of us do life and do business and we call ourselves Christian, but we miss the missing link as to truly having that relationship with God. But I want to take you back a little bit, tell us about your salvation story. How long ago has that been, and how that's really served you in terms of, knowing God and knowing Jesus as your personal savior?
Yeah, well, I grew up in a Christian home. And all families have struggles. You go through stuff. I won't get too much into that right now, but when I was 12 years old, we were on vacation, and my mom's mom, my grandma, was with us on vacation. It's actually the last vacation we had with her before she passed away. And one of my little friends that I met in the park, I was going through some emotional issues. And so her and I would go into the bathroom and smoke.
Oh, wow.
We'd hide the cigarettes in our pants elastic. So anyway, I have to tell you that so you can understand what happened. So I went into the caravan where my grandma was, and she said, "Okay, come on, hurry up. We're gonna go and swim." So I said, "All right." And without thinking, hey, I can't change my clothes because the cigarettes are in there. I just changed, and it dropped out of my elastic in my pants.
That's hilarious.
Who does that belong to? Where did that come from? And my grandma sat me down and she said, "You know what? It's time for you to get serious about this situation of your heart. the state of your heart. You need to get right with God. And right there and then she led me to the Lord. And that was a great privilege for me.
And did you say at the age of 13 that was?
12, yeah, because when she died just before I was 13, yeah.
You know what's so freaky, Zelda, is that the way we met, first of all, we met on, for the sake of our studio guests, our studio audience, that we met on a common platform for Kingdom Entrepreneurs, the Life on Fire Academy. Then we discovered that we were the only two Zeldas. It's not a very common name, but it's become very popular. Then we also discovered that we were born in the same country, South Africa, right?
Yeah.
Another interesting fact that you've just mentioned now is that your salvation story started at the age of 12. Mine was almost exactly the same, around the age of 12. It is insanely, exciting that we've got such similar journeys. And so it's been that long. I mean, I've sort of been chasing and searching after the Lord. Grew up in a Christian home. Single parent home, and at the age of 9 I was a little bit more hungry for a better relationship with God, and it started really, really young for me, but at the age of 12 is when I actually came to that decision.
Awesome.
Just entering into my 13th year, as a matter of fact, so that is really, really exciting. Well, moving on, just with regards to your journey as an entrepreneur, what makes you a successful entrepreneur? And I know it's ministry / entrepreneurship, where you're starting to teach and educate music with the idea to actually raise, become financially equipped, and teaching others how to do that. What makes you a successful Kingdom entrepreneur?
Well, I actually read a post about that last night, and someone was saying, what's the difference between people who get there and those who don't? And so last night when I was writing some notes down for the interview, I took the word action and I broke it up into 3 words. It's act, on.
Right.
And that is what it is you have to have a vision. You have to have vision is the overall thing. Then your goals are, your 3-year or monthly goals or 5-year goals. But then you have to have an action plan that you do daily. It has to become a habit that's almost in, like, you don't think about it. It just, today I just go through the motions of, what it's going to take to be successful. And then also someone said that, I think it was Bob Proctor. He said that you have to see yourself the way that you want to be in the future right now. Because what it does in your brain, it makes neural connections, and your brain can't tell the difference between the real you and the imagined you. That's a creative power God gave us. So to your brain, hey, I am that person. If you think that every day, so your brain will say that is who I am, and it will actually start attracting you to that person in the future.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Yes, I do love that, because I've also recently read a few things on, to be a successful person, you've got to become that person first. You've got to start programming yourself, your mind, to be that person. So if you want to make $1 million, you've got to live and act and behave like a millionaire. And what I love what you said there was so profound about the brain does not and has not got an ability to interpret the difference. So if you're pretending and make believe, that's how most people have actually become successful. They lived in a mode of pretense and start speaking that language on a regular basis. Thank you for sharing that. That's very, very valuable. Now, I'm going to take you to something you shared with me about ministering all over South Africa as a teenager. Having come through your salvation story very, very early, you're a musician. You were involved in ministry from a very young age. So tell us about that.
Well, right after I got saved, the church that I was in, it was a full gospel church. And what was great about that church is they actually made room for teenagers and children to be involved in ministry. And so that's where I got my start. That's where I started worshiping. That's where I started, growing my gift that God had given me. And then after that, I decided to record a CD. So, God just connects you with the right people at the right time. And through the CD, I met a dance and ministry group called Dunamis, and we merged my stuff with their stuff. And that's how we started performing all over the country. I think our biggest crowd was like 23,000 people at an event called Fireworks for Africa.
Wow.
And so that was really cool. And then, toured all over the country. As a teenager, that's a dream come true. If you're a musician or artist, And then after that, I got involved in a church called Christian Family Church, Johannesburg. I was on staff there as a worship leader and as a youth leader. And that's where the transition happened to us ending up in America.
Oh wow, yes. Now, what did you say to other young up and coming musicians who do not have the confidence or do not have the belief? I mean, 23,000 people in an audience, that is phenomenal. That's a superstar audience, because some people get happy with 1,000 people. What would your best advice be to other young up and coming, whether they're gospel artists or just anyone that's in the music industry, who struggle with confidence, who know they've got the gift but don't really have the courage to step out and do? I mean, I've got a son who's a musician. And he is really confident, but he's more confident in a group setting than he is in as a single solo artist. So what would you? I guess that's where my heart is shifting now, is because I think so much about his band has just sort of come to a bit of a halt. There's been some shifts and changes, and I've been saying to him, what about doing solo? But let's say if he was the only person in the audience today, because he's so close to my heart and he's struggling a little bit to step out there and become, and I know you've been in groups, but what would you say to a solo artist in terms of getting themselves out there and building that confidence?
I think confidence comes with experience. So you're going to feel butterflies. You're going to feel insecure. You're going to feel like, oh my goodness, what are they going to think about me? Every single time you go on the stage, there's a little bit of that. And it's normal. It's actually good because it keeps you on your toes to give your best self while you're, ministering or performing. But I think for him or anyone in his, that's starting off or trying to do it by themselves, is just do it as much as you can, because you start understanding who you are as an artist. You understand how to communicate with your audience, and that's how you grow your confidence. So
yeah, that's excellent. I think that's really good advice, Zelda. So I'm hoping that I could pass that on to him. Now, you've moved from I nearly said Australia. I'm in Australia. But you moved from South Africa to America. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
The church that we were in I was on staff in, Christian Family Church, our bass player worked for South African Airways. And at that time, if you worked for the company, you could get a reduced airline ticket. It's like almost half the price of a normal ticket. And so his name was Sarel. So I knew Sarel worked for them, and I had a dream of going to America since I was a little girl. So I knew one day I would end up there, and I actually had my dream board with the airplane, SAA airplane, and the things that I was trusting God for. Annika and I were sharing a room, and that's my best friend. So that's what we had in our vision. So we were just talking one night after band rehearsal or after church, the whole band at church hanging out, and Sarel just came to me because he knew the dream in my heart, and he said, listen, I can get you a ticket for half price. If I could get it, would you want it? And how many tickets would you like?
Oh, wow.
I said, okay, well, get me 2 tickets. And that's how it started. And I think within a couple of months, we were set up, Annika and myself, my best friend and myself, And we told our parents, we're going to go to America, and God just hooked us up with the right people, pastors, in ministry here. And so the two of us, I think we were 20 and 23 at the time, went across the whole world by ourselves.
Wow, that is incredible. Right. So you talk about being homeless. I think there was something that slipped into our conversation. When you say homeless, what are you talking about? You're talking about living like the Americans do in homeless situation, or what did that look like?
How it came about is after we came here, Annika and myself, we were here for 3 weeks in total, but halfway through the trip, we called our parents and we said, hey, we're coming home, but we're moving in 3 months. And that's actually, my mom said, well, we're going to come with you then.
Wow.
So I said, okay, I guess if you want to come along. And, God provided it that way to give us stability, because we needed that. So 3 months later, in January of 99, we all moved here together, and a ministry actually petitioned for us as their missionaries / worship leaders. And but things didn't work out with the ministry, as sometimes that happens. And after that, we moved. I think our first year we moved about, I don't know, 16 or 18, something like that. We moved a lot throughout California. And at the end of that at that first year, I think it is, that's when we ended up in a warehouse of the church that petitioned for us, with holes in the roof in the winter, raining through, and but we were happy campers. There's a lot of stories I can tell you about things like that.
I'm sure you could write the book, Zelda, for sure. Now, you're in North Dakota, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did you end up in North Dakota?
Well, after being in ministry in California for about 10 years, my dad was involved in the construction field. And at that time, it was when the housing collapse happened. So a friend of ours said, hey, I know things are drying up in California. Would you like to come check things out in Minot? And I said, where is that? I didn't even know where it was. And so anyway, then we came and checked it out. And, then we prayed about it 3 days before the actual move. God told me, he gave me the verse in the Bible that talked about rivers in the Badlands. And I knew, okay, God, I know now that I need to go there, because prior to that, I was on my way to Nashville, because when you're in the Christian music industry, that's the obvious place to go. But God said, no, I'm taking you in the exact opposite direction.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand, why the heck would he take me literally the opposite place? And I think it was in the first year, I went for a haircut and met my sister-in-law, and then my in-laws, became friends with them. And I said to myself, or to God actually, I said, God, if my sister-in-law is such a good-looking girl, then she must have a really good-looking brother.
Oh, I smell a romance story coming through.
Yeah. So I asked her about her brother. Does she have any brothers? And she said, yeah, actually, my brother, he's married and stuff. And I'm like, oh, darn. And then we kept talking, and she says, but I have another brother.
Okay, someone hiding in the closet.
Yeah, and he was very shy. Yeah, he was very shy, and he had gone through some heartache of his own. He'd been married and divorced, and I never thought I would end up marrying someone that had been divorced. But God had taken him through 20 years of healing, and before he met me, and we just knew. When I saw his photo on my mother-in-law's camera, I said, whoa, he's hot. And I knew in my heart, that's my husband.
Oh, wow.
And then, when he saw my CD cover, he felt the same way. He says there was just a connection. But he thought to himself, what would this, singer girl do with a farm guy like me, farm boy? And little did he know that I grew up on a farm. So,
wow.
And that's how God, that's how he put it together.
Yeah, and you're right. On spying your photographs, definitely you've got a good thing going there.
Yeah.
Right. So you started this ministry and this business called Best Life Today, and we've taken that leaf out of your book to use it on the show today. I'm just wanting to ask you about that, and you know choosing and starting two things. You've started alongside each other, starting Eversound. Tell us a little bit more about that, as well as Best Life Today, for the value, for the benefit of our viewers, as to what that is about.
Well, Eversound, verse in the Bible that talks about God giving you a new sound. And when my husband and I started doing music together, I asked we kind of threw around names, and I thought to myself, God created everything with sound. He created it by speaking, and it's still being created from speaking just once over everything. And so God gave me the name the Ever Sound. So my husband and I are actually working on a worship CD and another CD that's kind of it just talks about life situations. Like one of the songs on there is the Old Johnson Place, and I looked at a building that's a ruin, like an old farmhouse that's falling apart, and I thought to myself, if that farmhouse could tell us stories, how interesting would that be of the family that lived there and what happened there. So it's that CD is kind of more just nice listening music for clean family entertainment.
Wait a minute. Now, I didn't even have any idea that he was a musician as well.
Yeah,
I
he's a guitar player, and he actually writes songs as well. He's a really good writer.
So like meets like. How great is that? Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
Well, the thing I really want to ask you is getting hope again and choosing to step out in faith. That's a statement you made to me when we were having our conversation. Why would you have made that statement? And tell us more about the faith journey in terms of getting hope again. What was the downside of that, and what was the upside?
Well, for me, it was a dream come true to get married and have kids. But your mind frame from being an entrepreneur to being a family, more family minded and a homeschool mom, it shifts you, to where you've got a lot of things going. So sometimes your dreams gets put on the back burner for a while, and going through things like miscarriage and things like that, it kind of breaks you, you know what I mean? So for me, that journey was a hard journey, and I kind of gave up on the music because it felt so hard to get it going. Every single time I try, and the thing would just fall apart. And I said to myself, okay, God, I'm going to try this one more time. I know you've put this gift in me. I know I've got these songs pouring out of me. I know there's people out there that you want me to minister to, but then you got to guide me to something to get me back on track. And you have to open the doors, because it seems like they all keep shutting in my face, It feels that way. And so then I came across Life on Fire. I saw Christian Entrepreneur and saw Nick and Megan's Unsworth's beautiful smiling faces, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is the opportunity. And I just jumped out and did it. And the 10-week journey with them actually broke me out of my procrastination, because I've always, I'm super creative but super scattered brained. So for me to keep going with something is a hard thing, unless it's perfect. So
I can identify, I think what I love about what you just said there is you're talking about community, you're talking about support, you're talking about coaching, you're talking about mentoring, accountability, all encapsulated in what you said, even though you didn't utter those words. And really, same for me, finding the Life on Fire Academy, that's how we met, because we're part of the same tribe. I always encourage my audience, as well as my clients, is to have that accountability. And, you are the average of the 5 people you spend time with, because like me, like, the people you spend time with is who you become, who you follow, who follow you, and iron sharpens iron. And I love what Martin Luther King says, this the faith is taking the first step, even when you do not see the whole staircase. And really that's what it's about, is our journey as entrepreneurs. Now, I know that you've joined the academy. It's a 1-year program. I think it's very challenging because there's a lot of go, go, go. There's a lot of encouragement. What does your future look like, and what are your plans? One, as being part of the academy, but also just the way propelling you forward in terms of your plans as an entrepreneur and a musician.
Well, we definitely want to finish our, the 2 CDs, the worship CD and the clean family entertainment CD. But music is a hard business to be in if you're not touring the whole time, or if you're not signed to a label. And that's something I definitely don't want to do, having 2 kids. So I asked God, how can I fund the ministry? What can I do? So he gave me the business idea for Best Life Today. In Genesis, God said to Adam, go forth, have dominion, and multiply.
That's right.
The word dominion means manage, take charge of. As Christians, a lot of us say, God will get me there at the right time. And yes, God is awesome. God is powerful. But he put us together. He knit us together in our mother's womb with all the things we're going to need to accomplish his will through our life, to bless people and everything. So I think we're living in a time now where Christians need to stand up and take responsibility, take ownership of the gifts and the talents and the abilities God has given them. They're there for a reason. And they're actually, the gifts and talents God has given you is the vehicle to get you to the place he wants to take you to. So, that's kind of our goal with Best Life Today, is it's going to teach people how to have dominion in all the areas of their life. So your spirit, your soul, which is your mind, your will, and your emotions. How do you get balance in those things? Your body, eating right, exercising, sleeping enough, not stressing.
Yeah.
Knowing how to handle stress.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just love what you say there, Zelda, because it's my sentiment as well, and as you were speaking, I was thinking about faith without works is dead, because we can have faith, but if we do not put an action plan to it, if we do not have a forward thinking action, we could turn like 2 pillars of salt, like Lot's wife, not looking behind us and just moving forward. So I love what you're saying there about the fact that we are also created to have balance. And I love the fact that you mentioned sleep, because I'm one that I studied, and during my studies in my earlier years, I had that little sleep. And that when I finished my course of study, I was like, oh my gosh, I realized what I missed, but it was a sacrifice I needed to make. Now I get very grumpy because it is, and I feel that sleep, let me just touch on that. It's quite a spiritual thing. We're blessed to sleep because our bodies are resting, we're restoring, and also God gives us dreams and visions. I happen to have had a prophetic dream last night. I had gone to bed reasonably early, or earlier than usual, and I just find that when we deprive ourselves of not sleeping properly, not eating properly, we have to function as a whole person, and especially as kingdom people, the responsibility. We're also made stewards of our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. And because we're given that in stewardship, the definition of stewardship, and I'm going to paraphrase, is that we're given the responsibility to take care of it. And then you're coming in with your dominion. And I love that word, is that we were given dominion. Now, let's touch. Yeah, sorry, you want to say something?
No, I just want to add I wanted to add to that, in the course or the program I'm building at / the book I'm writing, also the other areas are your finances, your community or connection with people, your what did I call it? Your area of service, which I see as your career as well, is your area of service. And then the
Yeah.
last one is rest and recreation. So that just hooks up with what we're talking about. You know, a lot of people just work, and then they burn out. And especially entrepreneurs, we're so driven that, you know, we push everything out of the side, off to the side, because, you know, we're like this. Okay, I've got to do this, got to do this. And then, you know, we don't even end up enjoying the thing that God gave us to have. What's that verse that says, I came to give you life and life in abundance, to the full and overflowing. Enjoy everyday life. You know, so that's kind of the goal of it, to realize you can have your best life every day. You don't have to wait for someday. You make those decisions daily, get in the habits, and that's how you make that life that you really want.
Mm-hmm. For the sake of our guest, thank you very much, Zelda. That was really good sharing. I've put on the screen a link to Zelda's Facebook page, Best Life Today. And because this is going to be recorded, you have an opportunity, if you want to take a screenshot or just copy it and even just find her on Facebook. So that's really there for you. What I want to do as we leave the show and come to a close, what would you say to women such as yourself who have a dream in their hearts but struggle to step out into it?
You know, as I was telling my story about the journey that I've gone through, every single wave or every single new level has required a new level of trust between God and I. And if you can learn to trust Him on every level, it's going to push you further and further and further, because He wants us to grow. You know, don't give up. When it gets hard, get with God. Go here. What does He want to say to you? Start your day off with Him, you know, because He is the fuel that's going to get you there. His Spirit living within you, that's the fuel you need. You cannot do this by yourself. And get yourself in a community like Zelda and I are in. You know, that makes a huge difference. The people you hang out with, the people that support you, that help you. You know, we need that. We weren't created as an island, as they always say. We're the body of Christ. We each have our part. You know, you can't go without your part, your arm, your hand. We all have our job.
That's right.
If we will start supporting each other's businesses too, you know,
yes.
See how you can reach out to someone else, help them. So
yeah, and unity is strength. You know, we've come a long way, Zelda, in a short space of time. You know, there's some stuff in the background that we're planning to do together as well. And I love that synergy that's come together. And I love that encouragement that you've just given. I must say it was absolutely brilliant to have you on the show today. You know, you've really fed my spirit and my soul, and I'm sure you would have done that for our audience as well. We just want to say thank you for joining us. I trust and pray that the blessing of God is over the Best Life Now and everything else that you're creating. So thank you so much for joining us. All right.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Soon. Thank you. Well, that was Zelda Hutzenberger, and we did a double take on the Zelda tonight. I'm your host, Zelda Hart, and we are just so privileged to have you with us. This will be featured on YouTube, and we want you to subscribe to the channel, push like, or even share this if you feel encouraged and you know, you wanted to share that to people in your community. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. God bless.